You can now follow me on all my social media platforms to find out who my latest guest will be. And don't forget to click the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you're notified for when my next podcast goes live.
I don't even want to think about it. Honestly, the one thing that I find is hard and it's very confusing is, you see, when you're living that life, what's good is made to seem bad, and what's bad is made to seem good.
For me, it was a bit different with my mum. Obviously, my dad's in and out of prison. My older brother in and out of prison for drugs. My mum actually ended up in mental hospital.
I think that's normal. I'm not trying to go to prison, so I'm going to start shooting at police at the same time. I just think that's normal. I don't want to go to prison.
Did I ever have a sleepless night over some of the things I'd done? No.
Like the night before his verdict, I cried praying. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that's a breakdown, but I cried praying. Do you know what I mean? Like I just couldn't deal with the verdict being guilty. Do you know what I mean? And I was crying that night before.
Boom, we're on, and welcome to Around the Table, guys.
Yep.
Three guys who's been on the podcast before, three guys who I respect very highly. Yourself, Louis, like you bank robber, you and your dad in and out of prison, 17 years. Mike, running about Birmingham, Handsworth, rough area, you and your brothers, mad stories, deaths, shootings, stabbings. Quince, Uzi out, spraying at the coppers, 16 years, 15 years in prison. Yeah, so I think these kind of conversations have changed the game. Educational, like, positive. I know a lot of people want to hear the guts and the glory, but we're here to change people's lives. We've got to change our own lives first of all, but I believe these conversations can make waves and they'll be watched for many years to come. But first and foremost, thanks for coming on the show, guys.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, man. It's a pleasure.
Thanks for having us back, James.
Yeah. How's things been? How are you handling things being out of prison and now?
Yeah, things are getting a lot easier for me now. I've been out of prison exactly a year, like a couple of days ago. I'm still adjusting, but I feel like I'm slowly finding my feet now, and I could just tell something good's starting to happen for me now, you know, being consistent with everything I'm doing and that.
Yeah, good. Yourself, your brothers, G-Rell and that, massive respect that you led that life for many years. You've changed that MMA fighter. How's life treating you now?
Not too bad, man. I can't complain. I feel blessed for real. You know, a lot of stuff in the pipeline, you know, I'm coming to the tail end of my MMA career. I'm still got a couple of fights coming up. One coming up in February. I'll plug that a bit later. But doing a few things, you know, my brothers and I, we're looking to start a podcast, the Linwood Show. And, you know, half of that is because you were kind of what's the word I'm looking for? You kind of helped us see that we can be a lot more than, you know, a lot of potential, the potential that we have, you know what I mean? We got those shows coming up. I got one coming up with my son, you know, the Unison Son show. So we got a few things in the pipeline, man. We got a few things we'll be able to talk about those. Got into acting, you know, doing a few things in that front as well. So yeah, man, I can't complain. I can't complain,
good,
man. Really grafting.
Yeah, Quince, what about yourself?
I got a drama series as well, so we can talk still.
Yeah,
I've got a few roles for you.
Yo,
definitely. Yeah, and you as well. And what I saw that earlier on.
Okay then.
But yeah, I got quite a few. I got my new podcast out, QB or Not to Be, and another giant podcast that I do with Yami B is coming out Christmas Day. So
Shout out
got a
to
lot to
Yami
look
B.
forward to. You know what I mean? So
yeah. This is what I'm saying. Like, you've been in and out of prison your whole life. You've seen death. You've seen the guts. You've seen the bad shit in life. But like Brixton and Battersea's got a lot of grievances over the years and still has. But how is it? Like, were you two? Did you know each other?
He's a bit older than me. I've always known of him, to be honest.
And he goes around with the people that I know anyway. So
simply got the same circle.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So
How is it with Battersea and Brixton now? Is there still a lot of violence?
nah, there's not really no violence like that anymore. Maybe between young people, but I don't really hear about it nowadays. Do you know what I mean?
I feel the older lot are slowly coming away from it.
Yeah.
I've seen certain people who I used to have trouble with growing up, and we kind of acknowledge each other now. Not that we have to be friends, but just a little
nod.
acknowledgement and just carry on walking.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
What about the gang culture in Birmingham when you were growing up, Mike?
You know, very similar to these guys. When we were younger, it was wild. Like wild. You would genuinely be thinking, well, should I go there? Because this and this can literally happen any minute, like Flashpoint. But as we've gotten older, much like these guys, I think people's lives are taking them in different directions. We see people now that we used to have literal, like, life and death beef with, and you're good. We talk to each other. You know what I mean? And there's a mutual respect amongst each other because you respect what each of us been through and you've made it through to the other side. You know what I mean? Now, conversely, the young guys, they're still a little bit wild and they don't play by the same rules we used to. You know, for want of a better phrase, when I say rules, you know, there were certain things that we did and we didn't do according to the life we lived, and the younger guys, they don't seem to have that same code of ethics.
What kind of things do you think those things are, though?
I was
different. Yeah.
I think the difference is, you know, when we were coming up, you would respect your elders. If something got told to you by somebody who had been there, done that beforehand, if they said that was it, that was rule, that was law, that wouldn't happen. The young guys, they ain't listening to them.
They've got no manners.
No.
Whereas as a kid, I always had manners for the older lot and that, you know. Whereas these ones, they're sending for each other like on Snapchat, Instagram, and they don't care who your name is now. They don't care who you used to be. They're actually quite vicious, these youngsters, compared to how we was growing up.
What do you think's missing then in the kids today? What, even yours back then when you were involved in that life, what do you think is the missing ingredient why people choose that life?
Respect is definitely missing from the youth, from what we used to grow up. Just like what you said, nobody's listening. So no one's going to listen. It's like a free-for-all. Do you know what I mean? But I think I actually jumped into your question without even listening to the end.
How is it, Stephen, like your younger brothers, because they kind of looked up to you, so they follow suit like a sergeant or a major, whatever it is, like they followed you. Like, how much does that play in your mind as you get older? Because when G-Rilla got stabbed and nearly died, came through it, like, how much does that affect you? Do you still live on that past sometimes, or can you forget about it?
Yeah, no, you don't forget that.
It's hard, isn't it?
You know, it's hard to articulate unless you've been there and you've seen it. I tell you what's really crazy. It was only recently I realized that what we were going through wasn't normal because it's all we'd ever known. Do you know what I mean? So when we were going through, it was like, well, that's just a Tuesday. That's just a Wednesday. Do you know what I mean?
Normal day.
And it's only
normality.
exactly. And then once I got older, and it was little things like you'd be talking to somebody who doesn't live in that lifestyle. You mention something, they stop and go, "What?" And it dawned on me like, oh, actually, what I'm talking about isn't normality.
That's crazy.
This is, you know, as far from the norm as you can get. But to go back to what you were saying, that's my baby brother. Do you know what I mean? And I say this to him all the time. I used to change his nappies. Do you know what I mean? So when I'm looking at my little brother that I love and would give my life for, something like that happened to him, you don't forget that. You never forget it. You know what I mean? Even if you feel like we've moved past it, you don't forget that. Like, it flashes back to me all the time, you know. And it's part of it's an accumulation of decisions I made, and they are looking up to me. But at the same time, at the time, you're not thinking, oh, they're looking up to me, so I need to make better decisions. Because you think you're smart, but you're not as smart as you could be, or you will be once you've gotten older. But you hope you're going to be once you've gotten older and you have a lot more lived experience. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
What about yourself, Louis? Because I know when I had you on the podcast, somebody tried to kill you, shoot you, but they shot the bouncer right through the nut. Like, how? Because you just says that was the first. You actually had to Google that because you thought you'd made it up.
The amount is crazy. Like the amount of times I've nearly been shot.
Yeah.
Like, I remember just standing there.
How many times have you been shot?
I've not been shot. I've managed to dodge them. Like, my brother's been hit a few times when we've been with each other, but I was so confused by this situation. I actually Googled it. I was thinking, did this really happen? Or am I just going mad? actually did happen. Like I was actually there. I actually stepped over him. Like, and even my brother's situation being stopped, shot 5 times and that as well. Like I actually Googled these things. Like I needed it to make sense because I was really confused. But I think what these communities are missing out on is youth clubs. I always had a youth club growing up around here. They're missing role models. Someone who can actually make these kids see their own potential, you know, because there's some talented kids around here who can either rap, sing, dance, some acting. We need to make them realize their potential and give them a bit of confidence to really try and make a push for themselves.
Do you think it just comes down to that though, the opportunities that are around them?
Yeah, definitely. There's not much opportunities. Like I live on a very big estate around here. There's not one youth club. They took the football pen away. There's not a football pen on the estate. Where do they expect these kids to go? They're going to go to the 5th floor of the blocks, chilling out, smoking up there.
See, when you're involved in that life, Quince, that what was going through your nut when you started shooting at the coppers?
The thing, before I get to that, the one thing that I find is hard and it's very confusing is, you see, when you're living that life, what's good is made to seem bad and what's bad is made to seem good. So that's where the confusion is. So me even trying to talk to my brother on a level and say, I've got a problem, I wouldn't do that because then I think big bro might think I'm weak. Do you get what I'm saying? When really I've got a problem and I need him to talk to him about it. Do you get what I'm saying? And then I might want to be kind to him, and then man be like, "Oh, that's some weak behavior." Do you get what I'm saying? So it's kind of this distortion of what's good and what's right and what's wrong and what's bad. Do you get what I'm saying? That needs to kind of get sorted out, I think.
Yeah.
Do you
How
know what I mean?
lost do you think you are when you're, like I say, you're taking car chases, you're shooting at the police? Like,
Yeah.
do you look back then
No,
and think,
it's like what you said. No, I think that's normal. I'm not trying to go to prison, so I'm going to start shooting at police at the same time. I just think that's normal. I don't want to go to prison. I'm not thinking, oh God, I need to throw it out because I need to get rid of the gun. The only way I think I can get out is shooting at them. So that's just normal. That's what I'm saying. Bad is good and good is bad. Do you know what I mean? So like what you said, people might think the thing what I'm talking about might seem like it's crazy to someone else. To me, that's normal.
these
I
questions?
thought it was normal at the time anyway.
These question your sanity, basically think you possibly could be insane.
Even when I hear, oh,
I don't think so.
and so's been shot, it's just doesn't faze me. Oh, is it? No way. Is he good? Or it just, that seems normal. And I know deep down it's not normal, you know?
I always knew I wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
So they used to, I don't know if we said, did we mention this on the last podcast? I can't remember. So they used to call me Mad Mickey Two Guns, and I hated that they were calling me mad. So I'm like, I'm not mad. I know every single thing I'm doing, every single thing I did, and that was a part of, was genuinely calculated. Every single part of it. There was no random or just every single thing I thought about thoroughly. I was always one of those kind of people. So I can take ownership of that now and take accountability and say, look, all those things that I did that I'm not particularly proud of, and I've said this before, my son didn't even know. I used to hide all this stuff. He only knew once he came and saw what was going on the podcast last time. Because when I changed the direction of my life, I tried to keep those things away from the people that I loved and that I cared about that were around me. But now that I'm older, wiser, take accountability and understand what I was doing and the psychology behind what I was doing, I can tell you right now, every single thing I did on purpose. You know what I mean?
I get that.
See your kids and stuff, like how hard is it once they get older and see the reputation that their dad had, thinking they could possibly follow suit? Like, does that become a problem?
It does. I actively tried to ensure that he didn't know that element of my life because I didn't want my son to grow up and be a prick, right? And I know you all know these guys, right? Whether it's the kids or the little brother or whatever, and they grow up and they're telling you, oh, do you know who my dad is? That kind of stuff. I never wanted my son to be that guy. I wanted my son to live a good, clean, healthy life. And I have to give his mother a lot of praise for this because she really enforced that with an iron fist. Do you know what I mean? Even when I was still in that transitional period of trying to change my life, she just laid down the law. Do you know what I mean? And my son's a good kid. And that was a fear of mine. And it was part of the reason why I knew I kind of had to change direction. You know what I mean?
How was it in Brixton as well, Quince, when you're, because your dad, is it Vince? He's
Vince, yeah.
top boy in
My stepdad,
Brixton.
yeah.
He's very well known. Like, how much does that then play a mind in? Did you have to live up to that reputation? Does that become harder?
Not really. It was a bit different because, like I said, I got thrown at the family home, innit? So I was hanging around in Brixton, but I was kind of on the run from him. So really, his friends, if they see me, they report to him. So I wasn't getting no perks of, you know, like him being my stepdad. I was more like, I got extra policemen looking for me, basically, and all of his friends in the community. So anytime they see me, they report to him. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't a thing of, you know, I get a pound or I get patted on my back or look after him, he's Thingy Bob's son. It wasn't really like that. No one wasn't around. No one wasn't allowed to look after me. Do you know what I mean? So it was a bit different. I was just kind of by myself.
Because yourself, Lewis, you went on jobs with your dad, robbing banks. That's a different end of the spectrum. He's hiding from his, and you're working with yours. Like, how, when people look at that and think that your dad's probably think he's protecting you because you're going to do the jobs anyway.
I would have done it regardless, with my dad or without. My dad, obviously, you know the story already. My dad's been in prison majority of my life anyway. Obviously, I've always been a bit of a grafter, and he just kind of thought, you know what, he's going to do it regardless anyway. You know, as much as he didn't want me to do it, he knew I was still going to do it with or without him anyway, you know. But he always tried to push me the other way. Lou, go and get a trade. But I found it hard. You're telling me to go and get a trade, Dad, but you're not working a 9 to 5 either. So why am I going to want to do that? You've not shown me how to do it. So that's the only thing I will say, like, which stopped me from getting a 9 to 5. But at the same time, he did try and push me. It wasn't happening, you know.
You think if you saw your old man doing the trade himself, that you might have gone in that direction?
Definitely, because I've always looked up to my dad. Like, I think my dad's like wicked, like loving me as well, respected, like around London and stuff. So I probably would have followed what he done. You know. I can't blame him for everything because I've got a lot of.
You reckon that had been before or after? Do you reckon you'd have followed him after? Sometimes when you get a taste of it, there's no going back.
Yeah, because remember, I've been in prison before for cash and transits, and that was without my dad. You know, so he knew what I was getting up to, but he was in prison already doing like a 10.5 some firearm charges before that. I think where my dad was so well respected, I kind of wanted that as well. You know, but it's only like now I'm like 36 and I'm looking back thinking, Lou, man, I've actually got potential which I can actually see now. I just wish I had it back then as a kid. Do
you think the guidance then comes into play, family upbringing?
Yeah, it definitely 100%. Does. Like I said, I can't blame him for everything because I had a lot of friends who was in and out of prison and grafting away as well, and that, you know.
What about the family home, Mike? Like, how much influence is that to young kids?
Massive. It's I mean, me and my brothers, we came from a home where we were, even though the marriage between my mother and father was quite dysfunctional. I told you that they were married for over 30 years. How they did that, I don't know, because the dysfunction that we saw in the house, but, you know, fair play to them. We were a close-knit family because we didn't have much. We just had each other. Do you know what I mean? And I took my like I said, my role as big brother real serious. And because of that, because I understood the importance of what the family home could play, each relationship I've had, and, you know, I've had children subsequently from that, I've tried to keep that home together, you know what I mean? Because I understood how important that could be, and I understood how important the influence of what you're doing in that house can be. Do you know what I mean? It is important. You know?
How is it for yourself, like, being from the broken home as well? Like, does that just set you off as a non-starter, basically, as a kid? Or did you think you had potential to do something?
Well, obviously, I was doing boxing, innit? So I always thought I had potential to do something, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. Do you know what I mean? I was actually forced to do boxing. So I was trying to basically living out someone else's dream. I was doing football. And he took me out of that, put me into boxing. But I didn't like boxing. Every time I stepped in the ring, it wasn't what I wanted. You know, I didn't want to get hit in my face and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
Trust.
Yeah, but I had to do it. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what he wanted me to do. So obviously it helped me out later on in life, but it wasn't the life that I wanted to go into for that to help me anyway. So yeah, I knew I had potential to do things, but I didn't have a chance to express what I wanted to express.
Yeah. See, when you're in prison and you're from a certain area, being a gang member, like, is it harder to survive or is it easier because you've got other people around you?
Depends what wing you land on when you get there.
By yourself or you with your man.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Do you get the heads up before you get in though?
Yeah, half. I'll give you a situation. I got to HMP Only 2017. And I remember one of our mutual friends, Dragon, got on, lucky I had him on the wing anyway, got on the wing, and I've looked upstairs and I've seen like 6 fellas. I recognised every single one of them.
Not from the right block.
Not from my block. I was thinking, this ain't going to go too well, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So I looked up, I said, "Miss, where's my cell?" And she's pointed to the cell where they're all standing outside of. And you know, I thought, fuck it, I'm just going to go up there now anyway. So I've gone in my cell, put my bags in, come back out, and I've looked at them all. I said, "Do you want to fight me? Do you want to fight me?" And anyway, my pal's come and intervened. But as like the days have gone past, weeks have gone past, months have gone past, start getting a little nod of the head, little thumbs up. Started talking to a couple of them, you know. And to this day, I'm in contact with a couple of them. You know, so it just takes time for these things to start cooling back down again.
You know, when you're in that kind of environment, there's how can I put this? Kind of a purity about that environment because you can't hide. You know, when you're out here and you've got those kind of problems with people and it's genuine, it could be genuinely fatal. People can hide in their area. You never see this person for how long. You know, they might be with some friends when you see them next time. But when you're in that kind of environment, because it happened to me, something similar, and you're in there, it's you and them. And like, you're either going to face this. If you show any sign of weakness in that environment, it's curtains.
Exactly.
You are food for the entire prison sentence. And much like you, something similar happened to me when I went into my first charge. You know, my first charge I went in there was an attempt murder. And when I'd gone in, I'd gone straight into the wing where that whole squad is there. Now, I've said this before, I've never been part of a gang. Yeah, it may have seemed that way because it's a large family and a close-knit community where I was from. Do you know what I mean? But we never actually said we were a gang. It had never happened. Do you know what I mean? So when I had gone in, you got all these people, and I'm like, okay, all right, get serious. But also, at that time, my mentality was I didn't care. Like, at that point, it was like, well, something's going to happen to you or it's going to happen to me. And I always had a big set of balls. So when I had gone there and I'd showed them I'm not scared, much like what happened with you, eventually it was like,
Petered itself out.
What's happening? Next thing you know, you're sitting down, you're playing chess, you're playing pool, and you build a mutual respect because you understand that this can get real between us in here, or we can be men and you can hold your corner, I'll hold mine. There's mutual respect. We may not ever be the best of friends, but we won't bring any harm to each other unless you cross the line.
You know, the wrong person can always come into prison and change that, though, innit?
Yeah, they can.
One wrong person.
What used
The
to
fire starter. Huh?
What used to be the worst? So say like we're on the wing now, we're calm, like we haven't got a problem with these guys now. We're just cracking on with our sentence. Then one of the boys, one of your own friends, comes to the jail, and he's just on the absolute madness.
Yeah.
So now
You chilling with him for?
you're chilling with him, and then the drama starts all over again. So sometimes it takes for that bigger person to say, "Do you know what? I'm tired. You know, but it's kind of hard for people to walk away from that, you know, and just leave your friend.
How many people are involved in Handsworth and Birmingham gangs? Is there many people, many enemies, many other?
Oh yeah, it's crazy. It's like part of the culture down there, and I'll never know what started it or what helps to continue. But it's very difficult for something to stop when you have a personal stake in it. Do you know what I mean? So, when you're telling a young man or a young woman, you want to change the way you're living, you need to not do that. And they're thinking, yeah, but this person did this to my brother, this person did it to my cousin. It's difficult to tell that person what they should or shouldn't be doing in that moment with these people that are around, because those emotions are raw. It takes time. Something that we never do where we're from in the hood, in the ghetto. There's no therapy, there's no counseling, there's no talking to anybody. I've never known anybody personally that has ever had any harm come about to them, been offered any therapy or counseling, anything of that nature. They've never spoken to anybody. They just kind of suck it up and they either sink or swim. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, it's a difficult one. It's a difficult one, and it's why I have personally, with my lived experience, I try to talk to those young men and those young women and explain to them, like, look, this can go very wrong. I have been fortunate. I've been blessed where that I haven't seen the kind of physical harm certain people have seen. I haven't ended up doing life in jail. A lot of the people I grew up with, they're dead or they're in prison for life. They ain't never coming out. Do you know what I mean? And when I'm trying to articulate this to some of the younger people, it can be difficult sometimes because some of those people are like, you're a has-been. You tell me now, I'm living this now. But I'd like to think that some of them, it's getting through to some of them. And some of the work that, we've been doing for a little while.
How hard is it, Quince, when you have to look over your shoulder if other people are trying to kill you? And
when you first come out, it's difficult. But like I said, when I came out this time, they banned me from London, innit? So I got moved to Manchester. So that was kind of like the best thing that could happen to me. But even then, even if you're talking to me on the street, you can see me looking left, right, left, right, left, right. Do you know what I mean? It's not easy, especially if now I can't carry a gun. Do you know what I mean? Before, when I carry a gun, it's just a bit more calmer. But if I can't carry a gun, it's very difficult, man.
Is that the mindset
It's very
to
difficult.
have something on you every day?
Yeah, have it every day. Once you got people shooting at you all the time, you have to find a way to, kind of avoid them shooting you, and it's to buy a gun, innit? That's the only way I saw. Because at first I wasn't shooting back. I was just going to parties and getting shot at. It was like fun. I was taking ease. I was just living a good lifestyle, and I just thought it was funny every day I got away. But then after a while, the buzz wears off, and you realise people are trying to really kill you. So you got to do something about it. And after that, month, 2 months happened quite quick, and everything just happened quick, spiraled out of control, and I ended up in prison. So probably the best place for me at the time, because I would have done something or something would happen to me. So
Yeah, dead or killed someone.
yeah. Well, I've been doing life, and I was in prison with a lot of people who was doing life. Even those guys from Birmingham, what was it called, Marcus and that?
Yeah.
I was next door to him.
He used to knock my door. I asked to play football,
I was
bro.
next door to that guy, man.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I know those.
Yeah,
those guys.
And I spoke to him properly. Do you know what I mean? Like, like his heart's heavy and that. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
How was the racism in prison as well?
Where?
Was there much of
Nah,
it?
bro.
I don't know.
You know what? I'm telling you.
Between inmates, I didn't see none of it, to be
It's
honest.
more like staff.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. I have no recollection, any memory of experiencing.
No, not as an adult.
While I was inside. No.
When I was young.
Yeah, when you're young.
Yeah, when I was in Portland.
Right.
And then
As
we
a
moved
rough
to
job,
Wales.
Oh, you know what? Saying actually,
Yeah.
I was in a what do they call those when you just before you're old enough to go into?
Why?
Yeah, but the like a one of those kind of YO things.
Just
but
before
it's
the
small.
wire.
Yeah.
There's a smaller one in there to take some sort of
Yeah, that was
detention
kind of
centre,
thing. I remember I was in that when I was real young, and I was in Liverpool. There was a little bit of racism there. It wasn't
like a
wasn't
security
crazy.
unit.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
security
Yeah. And I remember, but not really any racism. I think at the time back then it wasn't as multicultural as it is now, so
Yeah.
it was a bit strange. But to be honest, overall, I never really experienced any racism while I was inside.
How was the relationship with Birmingham and London? Was there any
No,
friction?
it's fine.
It's always
fine.
been cool to my knowledge.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's always
Yeah.
been cool.
Fine.
Next door neighbours, everything's
Yeah,
fine.
so
Like I said, I used to meet up with your brother years ago, and as always to come down and check us, do a bit of music and that.
When we was younger, we had one drama.
yeah. You hear this?
In Ellsbury. You know Simba?
Yeah, so my brother saying he knows him.
Simba or
Okay,
Simba?
Oh, I know who he's talking about.
Short guy.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I'm not going to say his name. I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
And there was Abidan as well.
Right,
Remember Abidan? Yeah, we was in Ellsbury together.
right.
We had just a little bit of drama.
Yeah.
But then I was in jail with them as adults. and
Was
there
that
no
a
drama?
Birmingham, London thing, or just as men
Jail
thing?
thing.
No, it was just a kind of our own disputes.
It's
but what happens is the man them stick together over there, the man them stick together
Yeah,
over
yeah.
there, and it just seems like it's
yeah.
them versus us, but it wasn't really. It was
Yeah.
just one man had a problem with another man.
I don't think I never encountered any
Simba.
kind of beef
But I
between
spoke to him the
towns.
other day on Instagram.
Yeah,
Yeah, good guy.
you see,
Yeah,
and you know what happens a lot of the times when you get into some of these beefs in jail, like if it's not something that was external and you've come in with it, when it happens in there, it's a lot of the time it's just
stays in
too
there,
many
innit?
balls in a pen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if we all was inside and we all got into it with one another, if we actually sat down to get to know one another, we all probably all like each other, probably all be mates. But when you got, there's all this testosterone, you're balls in a pen, and you're trying to show everybody you're not a punk. You know, things can get a little bit wild.
Why is it the postcode wars? Why is it kids fighting over nothing? It is silly that you get older, you get wiser, but then if somebody told you 15 years ago, 10 years ago, listen, this is bad, you'd have told them to fuck off.
Yeah, I would have.
So it's hard, do you know what I mean? But where does it come from? Is it just human nature to fight and cause wars and cause destruction?
Have you ever heard of that experiment they did with those chimpanzees, where they put like the fruit,
the bananas,
and they
take one out,
and
sprinkle water,
and what they did was every time they kept shocking the monkey, and eventually all the chimpanzees got changed. And every time one of the chimps went to touch it, they just kept battering the chimp. None of the chimps actually knew why they were doing it. It's because it has been passed generationally down. And I think that a lot of it is that, you know, some of the kids have there's no stake in that they have no stake in the game. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing in it for them, but they're involved. Why? They've seen a brother, their dad,
or they've heard of
you know,
they think it's
and they just think it's cool. They just, you know what I mean? Until they get serious.
You see the difference in hand. You see, and is it the burgers and the Johnnies? How far is the
It's right, but
Is it right beside each
Birmingham
other, like a
isn't
postcode?
a big place. You know, London, it takes you like an hour and a half to get from one side to the other. You do that in 20 minutes in Birmingham. Do you know what I mean? So people are in close proximity. Do you know what I mean? I would argue that the actual those names of those crews that you just said, they themselves may not exist as it was, but there are subsidiaries, there are kind of
Other little names.
other little crews that have
Groups that have come out.
This is what happens. It gets like, it's like the names of the gangs just get changed over the years. You know, like majority of these kids don't even know why they're beefing.
They have no idea.
He's just taking on his beef. He's just backing him. He's just going to a madness. He's just got robbed for some food, so he's going to get him now.
Yeah.
So they all just start backing each other, and that's where it all comes from, man.
Even though you have changed your life, you have matured, you have tried to see the world differently, do you ever worry that somebody doesn't forget and puts one in your nut?
I'm forever still looking over my shoulder to this day. Like you can never say no. You can never. You don't know what's going on in someone else's head. So I'm always very alert, especially if bikes pull up next to me. I'm still looking over my shoulder.
I used to be like that.
Yeah,
I'm not like that anymore.
I'm still like that. I'm still like getting my head sorted out for that sort of stuff and that. But yeah, you just don't know what other people are thinking.
Get over
so
it,
you,
though.
yeah.
It's PTSD, bro.
Yeah.
What we've experienced, what we've lived, like I said before, is not normal. We've normalized it. We think it's normal because it's all we've ever known. And a lot of the feelings that we have, the anxieties and the reactions we have, the responses, is the response to trauma. It's PTSD. That's what a lot of us are going through and didn't even realize. We don't know because we haven't been diagnosed. Because there is no therapy, there is no counseling, there is nobody to say, actually, you know, what your problem is this, and this is what we think we should do about that problem. We're self-medicating. Do you know what I mean?
If I hear that still loud bang though, out of the blue, I still jump.
Balloons popping all of that.
No, out the blue. If I hear a loud bang,
Yeah.
bang, I'm still gonna jump.
Yeah, I still get ready
It
to
happens all
duck
the
down
time.
on all of that.
Yeah.
I can't get that.
Do you think if kids spoke younger, it would stop them from progress? And I had a man on, he was talking about a parasite. When he gets a first bit of trauma, it's like a parasite. Because he doesn't address it, it grows bigger and bigger and bigger and eats away at him. And he fueled that with hatred,
I believe that.
rage, anger. But he says if he'd have caught it a year, 2 years when it happened, it would have defused and they'd have lived his potential. Do you think it's harder for kids to speak out and go, do you know what, I'm struggling, I've lost a loved one, I've lost a brother? Do you think it's hard for young kids to speak?
I think it's easier now.
You think so?
Yeah, with the social media and
I
stuff.
was just thinking the same thing. You know?
Yeah.
But suicide.
No, there's less. We had less outlets, innit?
We had no outlets.
Basically, yeah. We had no outlets. But there's always some organisation you could tap into on your phone if you wanted to talk to
But I
someone.
think
about
that's also part of the reason why some of the beefs have just grown exponentially. Because
Social
back
media.
back in the day, you might hear a rumor that somebody said something. Now people are putting that on camera and telling you,
They're sending out
you a
videos
video.
and that, Snapchats and all
It's
of that.
crazy.
Yeah.
Rapping about what they
wild.
just done, rapping about what they're gonna do. I feel they're trying to push more money into prisons when they should be pushing more money into communities and rebuilding communities, not rebuilding more prisons. Like the prison systems aren't working, and it's not registering in their head that the money funding needs to go into the communities.
See, when a friend dies, gets murdered, like how does, see when you're active back in the day, does it just fuel you with more, or do you question that you need to change?
now or
Back
before?
in the
As
day,
a young man,
Nah, there's no. You don't think about changing. It's just try and get them back in.
Revenge.
Yeah, just try and get them back. That's the way you think when you're young.
Was there nobody ever above you to say, look, try to teach what you are trying to teach now?
I didn't have none above me trying to teach me.
No. I only ever had one person in my life, and that's not speaking negatively about the men that were involved in my life. I think they were just trying to teach me the best they could with what they had around them, because they had grown up in stuff that was similar as well. And so they were just trying to teach me how to keep myself safe in the environments that I was in. But there was one person, and it was my Uncle Jeff, he went on to be a lawyer and had his own law firm, and he always saw potential in me. He was always called me over, your nephew, come over here, let me. And he tried to give me game. He tried to explain to me, like, what are you doing? Why are you here with this cousin? Or why are you doing that? And at the time, I knew what he was telling me was right, but I didn't appreciate the wisdom I was being given at the time. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I have that one person. But as for elders within the community or other guys, no one was coming to you and telling me any of that stuff.
And if they do, it'd be in the wrong way. Like, if you don't stop that, you're going to be dead before you're 20 or whatever.
I would have appreciated even hearing that.
Yeah, but when I heard that, I don't even hear it.
We didn't even hear that.
Yeah, I didn't even hear it when I heard that.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, I'm thinking I'm Superman, innit?
Yeah.
I can't die.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? At that time. So it's not even nothing I want to hear. I think you're just trying to jinx me.
See, when you're in prison, how does it affect your mum and other family members, the people who care?
Affects them a lot. Affects them more than anyone, especially your mother. Do you know what I mean? My mother done the rounds to me, like around the whole country, just trying to visit me, staying in hotels because things are far, and it was all out of her pocket. Do you know what I mean? I never had no money to help her or anything. Do you know what I mean? So it was just, yeah, it was hard. It was hard watching her go through it.
Even having like mum's house door kicked off every other week, that's stressful in itself, having to tidy up after the police. And like you said, doing the prison visit rounds, it's not a joke, whether they're getting on the bus,
And
getting
to
on the
Durham,
trains,
places like
to
Durham and that.
that's a mission. It's all costing money, and even getting money sent in, it's all money. Yeah,
You know
it
what?
catches up.
Do you know, I've never really actually given any thought to how my mother was affected. That might seem strange right now.
No, I know exactly what you
mentioning
mean,
that
bro.
right now is the only time I've really... My mum, when I'm thinking about it, for a long time, she was going through madness, because when I was getting into trouble, that door was coming off all the time. She was always in and out of court, coming to visit me in different prisons around the country. And then that happened with all of her kids. So that happened with my two brothers and my sister. And I'm pretty sure, was there a stage when we were all in together at one time?
One person.
Yeah, but I can't remember the last time when all of us were out together as a family and could be like at home for Christmas or something. There was always
That was
somebody
sad.
who was in, you know what I mean?
Listen,
And but the thing is with my mum, if you know my mother, I said this before, she's a tough old bird. You can't read
you can't read her.
this woman. Do you know what I mean? And it's probably part of the reason why I took on the character I have, you know, having a poker face. And it probably did affect her a lot, but she never showed it.
Just get on with it, innit?
Yeah, she never showed it.
For me, it was a bit different with my mum. Obviously, my dad's in and out of prison. My older brother in and out of prison for drugs. My mum actually ended up in mental hospital. Yeah, so she's been in and out of there on different medications. She's back to normal now, thank God. Like,
Do you reckon that was the cause
we
of
was
that?
part of that. My mum relied on us for everything, not for everything, but having that door kicked off from me, my dad, my brother, prison visits, sending money in, it caught up with her, you know. She ended up going to a mental hospital, and I'm so thankful she's still with us to today. She's like off the medication and she's doing a lot better now, you know.
Yeah, that's good.
So
to
we've
hear.
got to realise, the youngsters watching this, they need to realise we put our family through hell.
Did you block that out, mate, because of that kind of shit that you did put her through?
Probably, I'd have to give that some thought, you know. I'd have to give that some thought. I think when you are in a lifestyle, you are selfish. You are just kind of thinking of yourself, because I don't think at the time I was thinking of anybody around me. or what they were going through. I was just thinking of me, myself safe. This is what we're gonna do. This is what I'm doing. So it just never come into my mind. I was just kind of okay, drink a tall glass of man the fuck up and get on with it. You know, that's kind of how we did it. You know.
Yeah, it's a sad existence as well, isn't it? To feel like that, you're just a case of get fucking on with it and don't talk about your feelings, don't worry about anybody else you're hurting. But when it all boils down to it, the only person you're really hurting is yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's like self-harming, that madness, the shootings, the robberies, the fighting, like the arguments, like it's damaging to hear.
But do you think, like, over the last, I don't know how many years, that has just been the role of a man, just to get on with it, even if it's not crime, just get on with it. You don't complain about anything, you just get on with it.
Yeah.
I think even though we're talking about it in a crime way, I think that's just the role of a man over the so many years. Just get on with it, don't complain, just get up, go to work. No matter how bad things are at home, you just get up and you get on with it.
How hard do you think it is for a man to survive in this day and age? Whether it's involved in crime or not?
It's definitely, it's hard, because they've got a lot of challenges now, especially with this new way these women are thinking and these feminism people and all. You laugh. Yeah. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So it's a bit more challenging now, and people like to call everything into question that you do, and it's magnified on Instagram and everything, and so it's a bit more difficult.
Do you think men are losing a bit of their masculinity? Do you think we're starting to lose a bit with all the soft shit?
We're losing men. We're losing men. Yeah. That's what we're losing.
Because testosterone has dropped and suicide numbers are through the roof, so something's not fucking right. We're alpha, we should be men, we should be out, like you say. Even talking about it, even though it's all people talk, I'm here to listen, nobody fucking cares. Nobody actually does fucking listen anyway, do you know
Especially
what I mean?
to men. If a man was starting complaining, saying, oh yeah, I'm being happy.
It's funny you should say this, man. I was talking to someone the other day. I had a little debate with some women, actually. Because they were trying to argue that they really want their man to be sensitive and open up emotionally to them. And I was like, that's bullshit. You don't really want that. Even if you believe in this moment you want that, the minute that man starts putting his head on your shoulder and weeping about how bad the day was, he's got a little boo-boo on his knee, he needs a cuddle, you're going to be turned off. You're not going to want that guy. Do you know what I mean? And what I was telling the guys was like, listen, the other guys that were listening, I said, look, yes, it is important to talk, but if you want to talk to one of your male friends, like talk to your brother, talk to your dad, like speak to somebody who you can relate to, and who can relate to you. Don't, and I know that I'm probably going to get a whole bunch of flack right now on this with the women that do watch, but I feel like as men, yes, we do need to talk a little bit more, because we don't, like you said, we just bottle up and we just get on with it, but we need to talk to each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's what we're do. They just go around a table and talk shit. But like you said, that crying and feeling sorry for yourself in front of a woman, for me, they would walk over the top of you. They would be sucking your best friend off by fucking midnight. Because it's okay being a bit of sensitivity from your kids and stuff. Like it's understandable, but you've still got to rule the house. You've still got to get your fucking hard hat on and go out and provide that. We're men at the end of the day, and there's no point in playing it down and saying being sensitive and talk. We can talk as well, but talking about it every day would just put you in a fucking depression.
It does.
Do you know what I mean?
I believe it is more spoken about though, like men's mental health and stuff on like socials and that. But like you said, like keep talking about it every day. It just depresses you, man. I've stopped to be honest, like talking about it as much. But
because you can feel sorry for yourself.
You can feel sorry for yourself, but I think having discussions as men, like at a table like this, I think I'd rather do that than talk to the missus.
What have you done to get through it though? Like the sleepless nights, like thinking about your mum, thinking about your dad, because I know how much you love your dad and he's still in prison. Like, how have you managed to get through it? Has it been tough?
It's been tough. Like there was days and nights when I was in prison, when I used to go to sleep, I just think, I wish I don't even wake up in the morning. And then I get better days thinking, do you know what, I'm gonna make something of myself. You know, like when you can feel something good's gonna happen for yourself.
You can feel that buzz, like you know something's gonna go right.
When I get that buzz, I just think, just keep cracking on, Lou. Just be consistent with what you're doing. It's gonna happen. And I keep telling myself that every day. Yeah, good on you, brother. What about yourself, mate? Ever think just fucking ending it?
Nah, I talk to my brothers. These guys hear me like vent all the time, man. I was phoning one of them, yo, what you doing? Yeah, listen, man, blah, 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 blah. And then it's like, yeah. My brother, you know, really, he listens to me a lot, man. We speak to each other a lot. We phone each other, man. You know, and because you need to bounce off another man as a man, in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? And we with my brothers particularly, we were discussing this on the car on the way up, on the way down, I should say. We hold each other accountable. So we'll call each other out on our bullshit, or if we're like, yeah, but that, you know, that's you're full of shit there, or yo, well, what you need to do is this, and we do that, and we hold each other to a high standard. Do you know what I mean?
That's good.
And if one of us are feeling like something ain't gonna work, the other one pulls that one back up, pull your trousers up. What the hell are you doing? You know what I mean? Check, have you still got them set of nuts in between your legs? Okay, let's get on with it. Yeah, you're a man, let's go. And that's how we do it. Do you know what I mean? We understand that sometimes you may not feel as good as you want to feel, but like I said before, my brothers and I, we hold each other accountable, and we will pull each other up, man, by the bootstraps.
Yeah, where do you think you'd be now, though, if you'd lost one of your younger brothers?
I don't even want to think about it. Honestly, when I've, like I said, you know, when I saw that happen to my little brother, I still, like, you're talking about it now, and the images are coming into my head. Do you know what I mean? I was devastated, man, at that time. You know, I thought I was going to lose my little brother, and I was bawling my eyes out, man. You know what I mean? I don't want to feel that feeling again. I think that we all have adjusted the way we live and how we conduct ourselves in public, so stuff like that wouldn't happen again. But yeah, it's something I don't really want to.
Did you have that discussion though, that now? Because I know you've never really had the discussion with your brother. Maybe you did a few weeks ago.
We've actually had that sit down and spoke about that
just recently, yeah.
That evening when he was shot, had a little cuddle and that. And my brother got released yesterday as well. So
good, mate, good.
Yeah, he's dog bit the policeman. He got not guilty yesterday. He's out.
Good, mate. But like, how is that to go through that discussion, to try and block all that shit out?
It was
to then come in ahead with it. Is it a release?
It was a release, you know. Like, I just got goosebumps because it's about 2 months ago now we had this conversation, and we looked at each other. I was like, I missed you, Tell, man. I put my arms around him, spoke about the situation. I feel like I got my big brother back again. It was a nice feeling to let something go.
Did you ever have those discussions on the past?
Not too long ago, say maybe a year ago, my little brother had a situation where he might not be coming out of prison. So obviously, I've never felt like that before. It was always me, you know, like going to prison. I've never had to feel like my little brother not coming back home again. So, and I've been out here for long. So, obviously, I know. Also, you know, watching your mum, because now you know obviously what your mum's going through, and the little brother might not be able to come back out again. But I it was kind of lonely at the time. I was just at home all the time, just drinking, smoking weed, just every day, just going kind of down all the time. Do you know what I mean? It was hard. It was scary. Just thinking about I can't do nothing, because obviously I've done bird, and so to think my little brother's not coming back out, it was a lot for me to deal with, man.
Do you see a lot of yourself in your wee brother?
I do. We've had two different kind of lives. Do you know what I mean? So obviously when I say two different lives, it's like my life's mostly been in prison. Do you know what I mean? He's been out here a lot. Do you know what I mean? So, and that's probably what I was fearful of him. Like, for me, I would have kind of like preferred it to have been me, because he's not used to it. Do you know what I mean? So, like, I was scared for him. Like, I was very protective over him, and I just didn't know how to deal with it.
That's how you feel when you're a big brother, though.
Yeah, I just didn't know how to
When
deal
you're a
with
big
it.
brother,
Man.
you automatically feel like that. Yeah, you feel like, okay, I want to take their place. Yeah. You feel like, why? What, you know, I wish that was me instead. And you feel this sense of obligation, and this sense of responsibility. And so when something happens to them, you feel like you failed. You know what I mean? You feel like you just didn't do your job properly. And so I can relate to exactly what you're saying. I remember the first time my brothers went inside, and I was absolutely wounded. Do you know what I mean? And the grace of God that they're both here, they're both healthy.
Yeah.
When does it ever come to a head when you have a breakdown, an emotional breakdown, where you just cry and you think, what the fuck is going on? Like, or does it just constantly, like you say, drink the pint, not give a fucking, just soldier on?
That's kind of how we did it. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of how we did it. And I'm not saying there's any right or wrong way to handle those things. Do you know what I mean? It's just the way that we did it.
Like the night before his verdict, I cried praying. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that's a breakdown, but I cried praying. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just couldn't deal with the verdict being guilty. Do you know what I mean? And I was crying that night before. before his verdict. You know what I mean? And then I woke up and he got not guilty. So
I got not good. That's good
it
to
was
hear,
beautiful.
man.
Yeah.
For real.
But your brother in prison, still alive. Like your brother's still here. Like your dad's still here. Your brother's still here. Like there's so many families who've lost their son, who've lost their father. Like the grief that they have. Because my mum's lost 2 brothers to murder, and the grief is always there. It's never away. No matter how successful you come with the suit on, the pain's still here at night. You think about the past. People say, "Oh, I forget." You never forget.
No, you can't forget.
But for people who've lost those loved ones, like, it's difficult. Like their life is ruined. Like, it's never the same again. You kind of push on and you kind of mask it all with the bullshit and the fancy words, but in reality, there's something internal. It scars you for fucking life.
I can't imagine how it feels.
I can't imagine losing one of my siblings. Do you know what I mean? When I pray, I pray for them. Seriously.
Every day.
Yeah. You know, I wanted to ask you, because when you saw, did you say your brother was released yesterday or today?
You got released yesterday. You
Yesterday.
snaked me and didn't tell
Have
me.
any of you guys ever? I didn't tell you.
You didn't tell me.
Surprise
You surprised me.
Have any of you guys ever genuinely asked one of your siblings, "How are you? You okay?"
No.
I have. But that's only
And
since.
I bet that was recent, right?
Since that's happened to him.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
'Cause it was. I had
Even it's just a
never-
text. You right, bro?
I was
How you
talking
doing?
to Marvin Bobby. He's not here today. And I remember one time we was talking about Gorilla, you know what I mean? And often things would come up because you'd be talking about memories and stuff. And we were speaking directly about what had happened to him. And I turned to him and I said, "You know what? I've never asked him if he's okay.
Never.
I've never asked him, how do you feel about that? Like, you're good. What's happening? What are you going through?" That never happened because we just had this mentality of, you lived, you're okay. All right, let's
Yeah,
get on.
that's
Cool,
it.
let's
Crack
go.
on.
Let's go. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I asked you guys if you've ever asked.
So the reason why I asked, me and my brother done a little documentary just around the estate, and it's not until I see my brother in front of the camera telling his story that I was looking at him. I was thinking, "I love you, man." Just looking at my brother. Then see, after I got tears, like after that, that's when we had the conversation, you know.
Do you think as men we fake a lot of laughter, fake a lot of jokes, and fake that we're okay? Or do you think we have to do that because nobody fucking cares?
Me personally, I think we have to do that because no one cares. You know what I mean? But that's just my mentality. Maybe it's a coping mechanism. But I tell you one thing though, it's allowed me to achieve a lot more than I should have been able to achieve coming from where I've come from. Because I have that mentality, because I have that no one cares, work harder, let's go.
Yeah.
And I think we all, me and my siblings, all kind of have that to some degree. You know what I mean? And where one falls short, the other one tries to pick the other one up. Do you know what I mean?
How much does exercise help? Because I know you've done the MMA. Like, how much did that change your life?
A lot.
Massively. I'll tell you something. That's probably what got me away from the people I was with. Because I was around some people who, some genuinely unsavory people, genuinely dangerous people. You know, I consider them mates and friends, people I grew up with. To the average person, it's a dangerous person. And when I first stepped into a gym to learn how to fight, what I found was if I'm in the gym at 11 a.m, means I can't see anyone till 2, 3. When they're saying, "Yo, we're going to link up at 6, I'm like, I can't, you know, I got my next
missing the
training
peak times.
session. I got my next training session at 6, but I might see you guys later. By that time, I'm tired. I need to go to bed and then get back up to train. So what that pulled me away from everybody. You know what I mean? Next thing you knew, I was fighting professionally. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've been lucky enough to fight across Europe, man. You know, I fought even for my last contract was with Cage Warriors. You know, Cage Warriors is kind of a partner company of the UFC.
Yeah, big company.
Yeah. And well, some of the guys actually
People get paid more there than they do UFC.
in some, well, not in Cage Warriors. Sorry,
The Paddy took
he used to get paid a lot.
he took
he gets paid a
a
lot.
wage cut to join the UFC.
He gets paid a
which
lot.
is mad to think.
He was able to sell out like arenas and shit.
Liverpool, he was doing
Big,
10,000.
big
Yeah.
following he has. But I train with guys like Leon, who's just UFC
Leon.
champ. Leon, do you know what I mean?
Mental that was.
Yeah, all those kind of guys, Fabian, all those guys. Those are my training partners. Those are my peers. That's who I'm with every day. You know what I mean? Those kind of guys. So it took that itself literally took me physically away from the people I was around. Do you know what I mean? But then it also helped me develop a winning mindset. And, you know what I mean? And it was like, you're either going to get your ass whooped. You're going to sink or swim there, man, because you're either going to get your ass whooped or you're going to do some ass whooping.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm still, you know, I'm almost 28. No, I'm damn near 40. Do you know what I mean? And
You look good though.
no, even too
trust
bad,
me.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm still training. I'm still hanging with the young guys in the gym. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, I got a couple of fights coming up. Do you know what I mean? So I'm doing okay, man. I'm an advocate of staying healthy, eating healthy, and maintaining yourself in the gym, man.
How does that affect your younger brothers then and people around you? Do they see those positive changes and go, you're acting different, or they still got the blinkers on?
My immediate circle,
Yeah, when you started making changes.
So it helped them because they started doing those things as well, and they've got an interest in. Now, one thing I do wish, and I tell my brothers this all the time, I wish to God they had come into the gym and started doing the martial arts training with me. Like, they didn't necessarily have to fight, but I do believe if they had given me that kind of brotherly, the same brotherly push they give me in life, if they had given that to me in the gym, man, I'd have
You'd been gone.
yeah, man. Do you know what I mean? I always say that to them, you know what I mean? But they've done what they could within the capacity that they knew how to do. Do you know what I mean?
Do you feel blessed to still be here?
100%.
every day.
But why do you think you are here? You're clearly here for a reason, but the shit you have been through to still be here to tell the tale, that
Maybe it's just to, you know, even though, you know, like you think you might be here for a bigger, so just a simple thing like just being able to help my little brother. Do you know what I mean? Could be that. Do you know what I mean? I got a grandson now, 2 years old. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I got a 2-year-old and an 8-year-old, Olivia and Malik. Yeah,
Wow.
so even just to be guide them. Do you know what I mean?
see when you're younger, but you don't have that, you have that don't give a fuck mentality. See when you have grandkids, like how much does that then make you see the world? Because it's not just about you anymore. You're not selfish.
Wholly different. Even like the passing of the family the other day. You see that down to that. I now want to make sure she's not around the family listening to all the crying. It's simple. It's a simple thing, but you know, before we would never used to think like that. But I don't want her to be picking up all the effects of the wailing and the crying in the house. So I want to kind of take her away for a holiday. Do you know what I mean? That's how I think now. I think different. I think a bit more deeper than, you know, just the way man used to think before. Like I think how things can affect her mentally, so it messes her up in the future. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm always thinking of ways to protect her. Do you know, and protect her mind mostly.
See when you started making changes, Lewis, when you just came out and you thought, I'm going to give it a go here, like, how did your relationship with your mum, did it get stronger?
It got stronger. We actually had me and my mum had a conversation. We actually sat face to face. I apologised to her first of all for everything I put her through. She told me exactly how she felt when things were going on. And I feel like we got a stronger bond back again, and through that discussion, because it's a discussion what we've never had. She needed to hear it from me, and how sorry I was for it, and that, you know. But what I want to start doing now, I want to start getting into schools. If I can start getting into schools, I'd love that, you know. Start having these discussions with the youngsters.
But this is how these discussions are powerful, because you don't know who's watching. The three years could be speaking in schools. You've lived that life. You seem a lot more softer and gentle today than the last time. Why is that? Since the last time you came on,
funny, James.
like,
Softer and gentle.
yeah, like, is that then? But then we see that as a weakness sometimes, but it's not. It's a gift.
Yeah.
Is to then not want to have violence. Like, obviously, I know you have sometimes your tits and tats on Instagram. I watch you go there. He's on
Yeah.
one again. Like, is that?
Yeah, you get them from
Have
time
you
to
still
time.
got that fire in you, but you're trying to control it? If you know
No,
what I mean?
obviously, you'll always be in you, but it's just, it's not what you want to activate. You just want to do other stuff, innit? Like, if someone tries to test us or do whatever we're doing as a family or anything, then you're still going to feel the same way.
Yeah.
You know, if we put this out and someone tries to knock what we're doing, I'm still gonna be putting them down the same way. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But not physically, but you know, getting back at them and having my say how I feel about what they're doing, what they've got to say about us. Nothing's gonna change like there. You know what I mean? I fight for our cause, isn't it? That's how it is, isn't it?
Like, if you get tested, have you still got that fire where?
You mean like, yeah.
He's an MMA fighter. He's an MMA fighter.
It's definitely there. You know, like
It's controlled now.
Yeah.
Controlled.
Yeah, definitely.
Before it was out of control.
Definitely.
Controlled aggression.
I feel it.
Yeah.
I was. You know what's funny? I was saying this to my brother in the car, and I was saying, "Yo, bro, when certain things happen, my everything in me wants to immediately go to that." And And I was like, and then I learned to just rein it in. And my brother was like, yo, I can't rein that shit in. It's straight up like, I ain't reining shit in. And I was like, I've kind of learned to have to, because immediately like you feel that fear and you're thinking, yo, and you go back to where you were, and you have to be like, okay, let me just rein that in. I feel that in me all the time.
And you know, you're responsible for a lot of other people who could come if you make the wrong move.
Yeah,
Exactly.
If you go to activate that thing, there's going to be another 10 people whose lives could change with you and their family's life, and you're responsible for all of that.
100%.
And I think like that these days, so it's better just to remain calm and soft.
Yeah. Is that questioning your actions more and understanding you're going that way is just to question it, understand the consequences that come with it?
You know what happened to me recently? Funny, I went into a nightclub a couple months back, right? When I've gone in there, I know all the doormen out on the door, and they're like, "Oh, yo, Mike, what you saying?" And this one's gone, "Yo, your son's in here." I'm like, "My son's in here." So my son's like 80, 90, looks like a grown man. Like if I walked, you sitting right outside, if you walked in there with me, you'd think it was my mate. You know what I mean? So I've walked in, I'm walking, going through the crowd. It's kind of a crowded club. I see him at the bar. I'm like, "Your son, what are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, your dad." He's having a couple of drinks. When I've gone to greet him and hail him, someone beside me has tapped me. I turn around. "Yo, what's up?" It says, "Yo, you just pushed past me twice, you know." I didn't like the way you did that. So I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yo, I just said you just pushed past me." I went, I could hear everything he was saying. And I said, "Yo, I can't hear you. Just come out here for a second."
Yeah.
But in my head, I've gone into autopilot. Because I'm trying to get you into an open
This is
space.
all it takes.
So I can do something physical to you. Real talk, in my head, I've already gone into that mode. Right? And when I've gone out there, he's turned around to me and say, "What did you say again, bruv?" And now I'm waiting for him to open his mouth and say one word. And when he said what he said again, and I took a second to think. And I thought, this man said that I've just pushed him twice and he didn't like it. And I looked up at him and I said, "You know what? That wasn't my intention. I apologize." And he was like, "Oh, yeah, cool, thanks." When I turned around like this, my son was standing right there. I didn't even see him. I didn't see that my son was watching the entire altercation when I brought the man outside. I thought my son was still by the bar. So two things could have happened there. My son could have either saw me do physical harm to somebody, right, and witnessed the man his father's trying not to be. My son could have even got himself involved in that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
That very easily could have went somewhere else.
Totally left.
But do you feel going into them places, your whole mindset changes?
No, you know what? I had gone in there. No, not for me. Because
I don't go to them places.
yeah,
no
I'm
more.
just who I am. I hadn't gone out there to party. I'd gone out there. It was all work related.
Okay,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
So when I've gone out there, I've gone out there in the work mode. I'm just analysing, seeing certain things. But most certainly, in hindsight, I'm thankful that I made that decision then, because a few years back, I would not have apologized to that guy.
Yeah, yeah.
2
Do you know what I
seconds
mean?
of madness could have been something else, innit?
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
that space you gave yourself to bring him outside.
That's what it was.
I think also I'm
was-
a different person to how I was a decade ago. Do you know what I mean? So I have the ability now to
Process information in your brain.
So my cognitive ability has improved since then. When I was younger, I'd have been a little bit more impulsive. But this is the decision I've made. I'm bringing him out here, and this is what I'm going to do. Whereas now, I kind of took time. I looked at him, and I thought, you know what? It's not even worth it.
It's not worth it.
Look at the outcome you got from it as
It's
well.
not worth it. And your son saw you how
And
you showed your son how to defuse the
Yeah, and
situation.
my son spoke about it recently.
What did he say about
He
that?
spoke about it. He goes, remember the time when, and he mentioned it, and I said, yeah, you know what? I had brought him outside. My intention wasn't to speak to him or apologize. And he was like, oh, wasn't it? The guy didn't even know the decision I'd already made. He's following me outside.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? He has no idea what I'm thinking at the time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then my son kind of just looked at me and was like, okay, but I'm trying to teach, that's a teachable moment for my son. Like, look.
You did in that moment.
Exactly. I could have went this way, but I chose to go that way. And we're both cool. We're both
So all
able
it
to tell
takes
the
is one
story.
good
Do you know what I
example.
mean? Yeah.
This is what
So-
used to scare me growing up, because I know what I was capable capable of, you know, like if we're walking and someone walks into me. This is why I'm so quiet. People probably watch my podcast think this guy's so quiet. It's because I know what I'm
podcasting and quiet.
No, not even, because I know what I'm capable of, and it used to scare me because I know what I could possibly do to someone. So even if they've walked into me, I'd still apologise because I don't want them to turn around and say, "What are you doing?" Because I'm going to do something mental now.
Yeah, and it's particularly with the guys, because what my issue wasn't necessarily that he had said, "Oh, you bumped into me." It was his tone, his attitude, and aggression he had come with.
Face.
And at that time, immediately I felt like my manhood's being tested. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And this is the mistake we can sometimes make. We can think, "Oh, manhood's being questioned, so we need to meet that with similar aggression."
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
And it's out of hand.
Sometimes that may be the case. That you make that it may need to happen, but certainly like in that instance, do you know what I mean? There's some instances where we could literally just turn to the person and be like, you know what, don't worry about it, man.
Especially in nightclubs, like years ago, Raven, Coliseum, Vauxhall, someone's trod on my trainers, and you know where that's ended up. We've had a fight. I've lost a bit of my ear. Whereas the fellow probably would apologise if I didn't hit him first. I didn't give him a chance to say, well, I've just cracked him one and cracked his pal. And obviously lost a bit of my ear. Like, whereas now I'd be like, bro, and if he's to apologise, even if he didn't, I'd be like, cool. Like, I find it a lot easier now just to walk away from a situation before it goes very left. You know,
because we understand consequences.
You understand,
I think.
But do you worry more as you're getting older that to then potentially be doing a big sentence as well?
Yeah, that's always in the back of your mind, because you know you can just take it so far left that it could even possibly be an M charge. You never know. If you got a bottle in your hand, you might bottle someone. You don't mean for them to die or whatever. Your friends join in.
On his head.
Next week, you've got loads of Codys on a case over someone standing on your trainers. It's ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
How was the sleeping patterns back in the day when you were at the height of the madness? Like, did you sleep well, or were you always kind of sleeping with one eye open?
No, I was sleeping all right. Like the boys said, it was kind of normal.
Yeah.
So like for gunshots or for people to shoot at us or vice versa, I was having normal sleeps back then because it was a normal day out.
Sleep okay?
For me,
Yeah.
the only time I would lose sleep is if I felt like if like my pride or ego had been fucked with.
They
So
burn you.
if like I felt like something happened to me and I never got
pulled that.
someone back, I'll be just awake because I'm just thinking about it. But that's my pride, that's my ego. Do you know what I mean? In terms of, did I ever have a sleepless night over some of the things I'd done? No. I did some, you know, when I think back, I've done some pretty bad things, and I didn't lose any sleep over any one of those. And what does that make you, a psychopath?
No.
Does that make you nuts?
No, I don't.
I think that we just become
normalised.
conditioned to it. Yeah.
Conditioned to the life. It's like a soldier, isn't it? He'd probably go to sleep all right.
Yeah.
So he's done what he's done, but he's legit.
Why is like you and your family so tight? Like your brothers, like you're always with each other. You've always got each other's back. You always speak highly of each other. Like, I've never seen anything like it actually. Like, you are proper tight with each other. Like, why is that connection so strong?
I think it is a combination of different things. I think we were just taught it. Our family. So with my mother's my mother's side of the family, her siblings, they were quite close growing up, and we weren't given any kind of particular choice in that matter. It was like, this is your brother, this is all you have. But also,
You feel like you
when
got
you come from
imposter
an
syndrome.
environment
It
where
happens
you
to me sometimes.
don't have anything, there's not much, all you realize that you have is each other. You know what I mean? And we just kind of grew like that. We were just together all the time, doing everything. There were times where, you know, if we didn't have anything to eat in the house, you know what I mean, I'd make sure my brothers ate, my sister ate before I did. That's just standard. And those things help create a bond between you and your siblings when you're you know, ready to do things for them that other people may not necessarily be willing to do. You know what I mean?
What about did you and your family tight, or was everybody kind of
I
split
kind
up?
of grew up away
Lonesome?
from everybody, yeah. So I was in children's homes and that, innit? So I kind of lived my own life. So
Yeah.
it wasn't really that close. Building relationships now, every day's progress. Do you know what I mean?
How hard is it to feel abandoned, like to feel as if nobody wants you, nobody cares? Like, does that become sad as you get older and you think, because you've got kids and grandkids
Yeah,
now, and I know how
when
much
you're
you're
older and you think about it, it is sad. But when you're going through it, again, you just get on with it. Just get on with it. Me going to children's homes was kind of a bit of fun for me at the time. It was like a break from the hood. Do you know what I mean? So I didn't see it as much as it was hurting me at the time. It's just a new adventure every time I go on a children's home around the country. Do you know what I mean? But we're looking back at it now, it's very sad.
See,
I wouldn't want that for my young guns.
See, when you go through that, does that make you a better father to then try and
Yeah,
give
100%.
them what you never had?
100%, because you see what not to do or what not to make happen or what to avoid. So it's definitely made me a stronger and a better person to be able to guide the younger ones underneath me. Do you know what I mean?
See, when you're
I
changing,
wouldn't let that happen to none of them.
See, when you're changing, how hard is it if somebody came to you with an earner or somebody wanted something done that, and something happens? Say you had a favour to someone, is it hard to say no to them?
No, it's not hard.
No.
I'm me, innit? I'm determined what I want. If I have to be aggressive and be bad to knock a decision back, I'm gonna do that. It's gonna affect me or my family or anything like that. I'll be that person who I need to be to knock that back. So I won't be owing favours that have a negative output on my life. They're not gonna be cashed in.
Yeah. Did you struggle with that, Lewis, when you came out? Like, people wanted maybe get back in the game, get back involved, a couple of turns, like.
A lot of my friends who are still doing bits and pieces, they've got enough respect for me to not even throw my phone for anything like that. So like, as much as I still love all of my friends who are doing whatever, but I love them from a distance now. But like I said, all of them's got the respect for me not even to throw my phone for anything like that. They can see the journey I'm on now.
Do you think that more lonely that you're out prison than you were in? Was that a silly question, kind of, because you're free?
No. I find even now I find myself by myself quite a lot. I quite like it though.
Is that maybe, do you feel institutionalised as well sometimes? Where
I'm getting out of it. I'm slowly.
If I feel lonely, I just go to my mum's.
Yeah, exactly. You go to your mum's or
Let's go
that's
to
it.
chill
I've
out
done check my brother. My brother's so nice.
I lost time there, innit? So just go and chill at her mum, even just sitting down watching a film with her,
yeah,
making her food.
It's breaking up your day, innit?
Yeah.
when are you happiest now?
When I see my daughter with a smile on her face. Yeah, when I see little Hallie.
What about yourself, mate? When you go, do you know what, life's okay? Because we all have little bursts of happiness sometimes. It's not a 24/7 thing, especially when you're trying to get a bit of hustle and trying to provide. But there's always little bursts of happiness. But when I find I'm happy sometimes, I feel as if a negative will pop in, as if I shouldn't be happy.
Yeah,
And then it
you
kinda
feel like
gets
you got
me down.
imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens to me sometimes. It does happen to me. And I have something what I call a gift and a curse, where I will do stuff, achieve stuff, and be happy and content in that moment, and then it just goes. I feel like I'm never satisfied, so I'm always trying to chase that next thing that will make me feel like I've accomplished something or achieved something. So in one sense, it helps me, accomplish a lot and achieve quite a few things. But then I'm never satisfied. Do you know what I mean? But like much like you, the one thing that gives me joy when I'm around my children, I'm the happiest. When I have to bring them home, I hate it. I hate it. I really do. I really do. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it gives me joy, and just knowing that I can do stuff for them that I may not have been able to do a little while back. Do you know what I mean?
That's where I'm getting the most satisfaction right now, whereas the last 9 years which I spent in prison, I wasn't able to provide. So now being able to provide, buying school uniform, buying Christmas presents, I felt like an achievement.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I felt like really proud of that, to be able to do that.
You know, that part of that is your manhood. As a man, you feel like you want to be able to do those
Feel like
things.
a father.
You feel like, you want to,
exactly.
like, well, this is what I should do as a man. I should be providing this. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. So that sense that when you're able to do that, you fulfill that sense of manhood that you got. Do you know what I mean? I feel like responsibility, that obligation you got as a man and as a father. You know what I mean? So I know exactly what you're talking about.
What about yourself, Quince? When you're happiest?
When I'm with my granddaughter, really. You know what I mean? My granddaughter, she looks exactly like my daughter used to look. So it's just like me. It's just like having a second chance of the years I missed in my daughter with my granddaughter. It's just like that. It's like she's reincarnated through my granddaughter. So and that's the most happiest times I've had. So
Yeah, see, for me, that's a father, that's a man, that's someone that everybody can play the bad man, but I know plenty of people who don't see their kids through their choice, but yet walk the streets as if they're bad. They ain't bad, they're fucking weak, they're losers. Like, a man is stepping up to the plate and going providing, spending all you have on uniforms and trying to give them that life. That there is a protector, that there is me as an alpha for me and my own opinion of it like that there. Like, because even girls I know still going party at clubs, sitting for 2-3 days full of cocaine, and their kids are in the house watched by the grandparents. Like, that's loser mentality. It's not that they're bad. It's sometimes it's what they know and they think it's acceptable.
What they've been left with, they never know. The man might be in prison. Just left out here to
because the stats from single parents is unbelievable for the negatives that come with kids. And like I say, you're doing the damage now to be there and try and support, and that's where you show your changes. Like, does that scare you that if you did anything bad, that's who you're away from?
It's like my daughter's going to miss out again, and I'm not prepared to put myself in that situation again.
Is that your main driving force?
That's my main driving force, and for myself as well, you know, because I know I feel I've got potential. I feel I've got potential to go and do big things. So I'm just going to keep my head up and keep cracking on.
Yeah, but that's all you can do. Like, going forward for the future, guys. Like, what's the plans? What's your first of all for yourself, Lewis?
Well, I've got my YouTube Big Lou Gym Bars still got up and running, so I want you lot to come take part in Gym Bars. You over there, you're definitely coming to take part.
Gym Bars.
What do you do?
It's called Big Lou Gym Bars. So it's short interviews, and then it's the Big Lou circuit. But after the circuit, you get to nominate the next person.
So, what's the format of the show? Break it down for me.
Literally, so I'm going to be talking to you about your fighting and stuff.
Yeah.
Going the ins and outs of your training and all that.
Right.
Then we crack on with the workout.
Oh, your workout.
We've got to do a workout.
All right. Yeah. That's good.
You're definitely coming on. 100%.
He needs to come on.
Big Jen. Workout.
You're coming on, but you're not allowed to wear that shirt. Mate, it's been blinding my eyes all day.
Yeah, plug your YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, so it's Big Lou Gym Bars for my YouTube, and also Instagram's Big Lou Gym Bars.
What about yourself, mate? Plans for the future, brother?
There's a few things, man. How long you got? But yeah, like I was saying earlier, my brother's the mastermind behind a project we got coming out called The Linwood Show. So look out for that.
Where can people watch it?
What's the handles on the Linwood Show at the moment?
So it's launching in January.
In January, they'll be launching.
All the content stuff.
Everything will start coming out on that, yeah. You know, I'm going to be fighting again in January, not January, sorry, February. I'm getting, you know, I've got an agent now for my acting and stuff, so acting's going all right, not doing too badly there. I've got another show that I'm going to be doing with my son called Unison Son. We're going to be doing that. It's going to be a vibe, you know, laughing, jokey, just something a bit more lighthearted. You know what I mean? What else we got going on, bro?
You're helping Mons with his fight coming up.
Oh yeah. So Mons, the comedian, you guys heard of Mons? He's absolutely hilarious, bro. But he's going to be fighting on the undercard of KSI's next
January.
Yeah, so I'm helping him with some training to do with that, you know. So
that's a monster.
That's the ones, yeah. So that'll be good. Anything else? My brain's gone blank right now.
No, that's it for now.
Yeah,
Just for now.
Yeah.
Quince, what about yourself?
Basically, just got the QB or Not to Be podcast and the A Factor podcast with Yami B.
On YouTube?
Yeah, on YouTube. So it's Real Life TV UK, and we've got our drama series coming back out in January, which is called Real Life, which is on the Real Life TV UK channel. And we've got a Christmas special with me and Yami coming out. So check out Yami B TV as well.
Shout out to Yami.
Yeah, shout out to Yami
Check
B.
you guys out, man.
Do you ever think that the live shows guys led in the past to then doing music videos to doing acting, like you're kind of on the same path of doing all the other stuff? Was that ever a vision for you when you were kids?
You know what? When I was young, I remember being a kid and thinking, I'd like to do some of the acting stuff, but coming from the house that we came from, do you know what I mean? It never seemed like it was ever possible. I think that now, in the internet age that we have, and where you can go and buy your own cameras, you can write your own stuff, there's streaming sites, there's a lot more opportunity for people to do things now. I don't think there's any excuse for anyone not to do what they want to do.
No.
Just get up and do it. It's better to have tried 100 times and failed.
That's it.
Do you know what I mean?
Keep
Than to
knocking
live
on
in
these doors.
hindsight. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, man, it happens. If you keep grafting, someone will notice eventually. Something will happen. Do you know what I mean? And you know, since you spoke as well about us, why don't we have our own show? Why don't we have this? My brother has been on my back, telling you, he won't leave me alone about it, until one day I was like, you're right, bro. You know what I mean?
Everything's timing. Look at the response your brother got. Like Gorilla, who's on fucking newspapers, he was everywhere from telling his story. Like, you've got scope there to then change the game. It's just the consistency and how far you want to take it. It's a belief. Like you were talking about, it's a belief system. To have that belief to achieve anything.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, for anybody that's watching in the struggle right now, Quince, what advice would you have for them?
If there's someone you can talk to, or take the opportunity, because I would have liked the opportunity when I was young and I didn't get the opportunity. Do you know what I mean? If someone would have like intervened and asked me what's going on at home, I might have been able to change my life. Do you know what I mean? So if there's someone you can talk to them. Take the opportunity, man.
What about yourself, Mike? For anybody that's struggling?
Anybody that's struggling, but you know me, I'm one of those hyper masculine guys. So you know, I want to tell everybody just man up. But there's light at the end of the tunnel, man. There's light at the end of the tunnel. I've been there where I didn't think anything was going to happen and things were unachievable. But you can, if you just get up and you go, you can do it, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Louis?
Yeah, I'd say people need to start setting realistic goals and start realizing things don't happen overnight. You got to keep knocking on these doors, keep plugging away, and just be consistent with what you do. And like he said, just ask for help if it is needed.
Yeah. Listen, guys, for coming on today and telling your story and giving it a bit of mixing it up a bit. A lot of people take advice from this and take a bit of inspiration. You should be proud of yourselves. You're still here. You're still here to tell the tale. You're moving forward. Leave the links in the description for these guys' social medias or YouTubes. Get following them. And listen, we'll do something together in the future again.
Yeah, 100%, man. It's been a pleasure, man. Thank you very much
listen,
for having
guys,
us.
absolute pleasure.
Nice.
God bless.
Thank
Stay
you.
lucky.
Nice meeting you guys, man. Yeah.
Yes,
Cheers.